The lecture hall hummed with the usual pre-class chatter. I adjusted my sensory stalks, trying to find a comfortable position in the ergonomic seating designed for Vrelian anatomy. Professor Kalin stood at the front, his 6 arms organizing data tablets while his primary eyes scanned the room. Settle down, he clicked, his voice resonating through the translation matrix. Today we examine planetary classification errors, specifically those worlds initially marked as habitable that turned out to be death traps. I leaned forward, interested. This was my favorite part of Xenobiology 301. First case. Kalen's secondary arms pulled up a holographic display. A blue and green sphere rotated slowly. Catalog designation Terra, also known as Earth. Initial scans showed promising signs. Water, oxygen, temperate zones. The survey team was ecstatic. A few students chirped in amusement. But then, Kalen continued, pausing for dramatic effect, they actually analyzed the conditions. Class, what did they find? A Korthian student in the back raised a tentacle. Wasn't that the planet where the gravity would crush most species? Incorrect, but close. The gravity was merely uncomfortable. No, the real issue was everything else. Kalen's mandibles clicked in what I'd learned was his version of a laugh. The atmosphere contained wildly fluctuating oxygen levels, dangerous storms occurred weekly, the temperature swings could kill within hours, and don't even get me started on the microbial life. Absolutely swarming with pathogens. I took notes on my data pad, fascinated. The magnetic field was unstable, Kalen went on. Radiation from their star? Brutal. And the planet's surface was covered in toxic plants, venomous creatures, and geological instability. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, tsunamis. The recommendation was immediate, mark it as Class 9 hostile. Unlivable. But sir, another student interjected, I thought someone actually evolved there? Kalen's eyes brightened. Ah yes. That's the funny part. Apparently, something did. They call themselves humans. Can you imagine? What kind of species would consider that nightmare home? That's when I noticed her. Sitting 3 rows ahead, partially hidden behind a Growthian exchange student, was a figure I'd never seen before. Smaller than most species here, with pale skin, dark hair pulled back, and only 2 eyes. 2 arms. 2 legs. A human. She'd been so quiet I hadn't noticed her arrival. How long had she been enrolled? Her hand went up, slowly and deliberately. The entire lecture hall went silent. Professor Kalen's sensory organs swiveled toward her, clearly surprised. Yes, student. I apologize, I don't have your designation in my roster. Mira Valdez, she said, her voice calm but carrying an edge I couldn't quite identify. I enrolled last cycle. Transfer from the outer colonies. Ah, wonderful. A question, Miss Valdez? She stood up, and I noticed several students instinctively leaning away. Not a question, Professor. More of a clarification. I'm from Earth. The silence became absolute. Kalen's primary arms froze mid-gesture. Excuse me. Earth, Mira repeated, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. That Class 9 hostile nightmare you just described? I grew up there. Specifically, in a region called Colorado. Mountains, thin air, temperature swings of 40 degrees in a single day. Loved it. One of my classmates made a choking sound. Miss Valdez, Kalen began, his vocal harmonics shifting to concern, surely you mean you were raised in a protected habitat? A biodome? Nope. She popped the P sound, clearly enjoying this. Regular house. We had a backyard. I used to play outside every day, rain or shine. Built snow forts in winter, went hiking in summer. Once got caught in a lightning storm on a mountain trail. That was exciting. Lightning, Kalen repeated faintly. You were struck by atmospheric electrical discharge? Oh no, not struck. Just nearby. Though my friend Tommy did get hit once during soccer practice. He was fine after the hospital trip. The Corthian student made a whistling sound of distress. Your friend survived a direct lightning strike? I heard myself ask. Mira turned, looking directly at me. Her eyes, I noticed, were an unusual shade of green. Sure. Humans are pretty resilient. We have to be. Professor Kalen seemed to be recalibrating his entire lecture plan. Miss Valdez, perhaps you could, provide some context for the class? Help us understand how your species survived these conditions? Happy to. She walked down to the front of the hall, moving with an easy grace that seemed at odds with everything we'd just learned about her home world. So, where do I start? The toxic plants? Most of them we learned to eat. The venomous creatures? We domesticated some, avoided others, developed medicine for the rest. The pathogens? She paused, that smile widening. We let our children play in the dirt. Builds immunity. Half the class recoiled. Professor Kalen's color shifted to a pale violet, which in Vrelian biology indicated either extreme confusion or mild terror. I suspected both. You deliberately exposed your offspring to pathogens? His translator struggled with the concept. Still do, Mira confirmed cheerfully. Parents actually worry if kids are too clean. We have this saying, you've got to eat a peck of dirt before you die. Builds character and immune systems. I watched a Delphinian student actually faint, her gaseous form dissipating into her containment suit's emergency reservoir. Okay, Mira held up her hands, I can see I'm freaking everyone out. Let me explain better. Earth isn't hostile, it's just dynamic. Everything Professor Kalen mentioned? That's just Tuesday for us. Tuesday? I found myself asking again. It's a day designation, she explained, turning those unsettling green eyes my way again. The point is, we adapted. Our bodies got tougher. Our immune systems became incredible learning machines. We developed this thing called adrenaline for emergencies. Adrenaline? Kalen's academic curiosity was apparently overriding his horror. Oh, you'll love this. Myra's grin turned almost predatory. When we're threatened or excited, our bodies dump chemicals into our bloodstream. Heart rate increases, pain reception decreases. Strength multiplies. We had this grandmother in Florida who lifted a vehicle off her grandson when he was trapped underneath. Impossible, stated Brent, a logical Thurian who rarely spoke. The mechanical advantage alone would require adrenaline, Mira interrupted. We call them hysterical strength events. Mothers have carried multiple children out of burning buildings. Hikers have fought off predators 3 times their size. There's documented cases of humans surviving falls that should have liquefied their organs. The lecture hall had become a gallery of horrified faces, sensory organs, and appendages frozen in shock. But surely, Professor Kalen tried again, your civilization developed advanced protection? Climate-controlled cities? Defensive barriers? Mira laughed, the sound bright and entirely too casual given the subject matter. Some places, sure. But millions of humans still live in what you'd call extreme environments. We have permanent settlements in deserts where temperatures hit 50 degrees Celsius. We live in Arctic regions at -40. We built cities on active earthquake fault lines and just reinforced the buildings when they fell down. Why? The question burst from me before I could stop it. Why would you choose to stay in such places? She looked at me for a long moment, her expression softening slightly. Because it's home. Because we're stubborn. Because some of us like the challenge. She shrugged, the gesture eloquent. My ancestors settled in mountain ranges because the view was beautiful and they wanted space. Did it make life harder? Absolutely. Did we care? Not really. Professor Kalin had abandoned his lecture notes entirely. Miss Valdez, you mentioned sports earlier. Soccer during electrical storms. Surely that was an aberration? Oh no, we love sports. Especially dangerous ones. We throw ourselves down mountains on planks of wood, we jump out of perfectly functional aircraft for fun, we dive to ocean depths that would crush most species, we climb frozen waterfalls using only metal picks and rope. Entertainment? Brent sounded genuinely scandalized. These are recreational activities? Extreme sports, we call them. Though honestly, what you guys consider extreme, we often consider mild. Mira counted on her fingers. Free climbing, cave diving, volcano boarding, bull running, base jumping, whitewater rafting. Oh, and we invented something called mixed martial arts where we just fight each other in cages for sport. The Growthian student made a sound like escaping steam. We also, Mira continued, clearly warming to her subject, regularly consume substances that are toxic to most species. Capsaicin in our food, which literally causes pain receptors to fire. We enjoy it. Ethanol as a social beverage, even though it's technically poisonous. Caffeine, which is lethal to many creatures, we drink daily. Multiple times. I checked my data pad, cross-referencing her claims. Everything matched the archived files, the ones marked with biohazard warnings and recommendation codes suggesting immediate quarantine protocols. Class, Professor Kalin said weakly, I believe we need to revise our assessment of Earth. Actually, Mira said, I think your assessment was pretty accurate. Earth is hostile. It's dangerous and unpredictable and yeah, probably a Class 9 nightmare for most species. She paused, looking around the lecture hall at all of us, her expression unreadable. But it made us what we are. Every challenge, every threat, every close call with extinction, and apparently there were several, just made humans more determined to survive. And now? I asked quietly. Now that you're out here, among species from gentler worlds, how do you find it? Myra's smile turned mischievous. Honestly? A little boring. Your environmental controls are amazing, don't get me wrong. But I miss the randomness. The weather changes. The element of danger. She stretched, joints popping audibly, causing another wave of concerned murmurs. Though I've got to say, the look on everyone's faces when I mention playing outside as a kid? Totally worth the weird reputation. Professor Kalin managed a weak approximation of a laugh. Well, class, I think we've all learned something valuable today. Never underestimate a species based on their origin world. And perhaps, just perhaps, reconsider what makes a planet truly unlivable. The session ended shortly after, students filing out with nervous glances at Mira, who packed her data pad with casual efficiency. I approached her carefully. That was quite the presentation. Thanks. She looked up, genuine warmth in her expression. Sorry if I scared everyone. It's just funny how different perspectives can be. Funny, I repeated, testing the word. Yes, I suppose it is. As she walked away, I realized something profound. We'd spent centuries cataloging worlds, marking them safe or dangerous based on our standards, our biology, our fears. But we'd forgotten the most important variable. Life finds a way, and sometimes, impossibly, it thrives in the places we'd least expect. Even on a Class 9 hostile nightmare called Earth.